What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Amira, aka Ami for short. If you are new here, make sure you go ahead and go watch the last videos that I've been posting. You know, I have this tendency of not being consistent in the way that I would like. But God has been revealing to me that consistency is less about quantity and more about quality. If God has given you an instructions, then follow it, submit to it, follow through. That is a level of consistency. Be consistent to Him. Be consistent to following the Lord. And I will say that even when it comes to that, sometimes I have struggled with getting online, getting on the camera, filming a video and posting the video, editing the video, all the things. But I had to get that out because I was about to say,
subscribe, but just know that I've been struggling with consistency. I get on here and I say that every single time and I'm sick of myself. I'm sick of it, honestly, truthfully.
if you are looking for someone who is going to share the real about walking with Jesus, share their life, share their journey, the things that God is teaching them, how to live set apart, then this is the place for you. Go ahead and subscribe and give this video a like while you're at it. All right. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about God told me to quit my job. God told me to quit my job in 2023. April 17th was my last day of work. And I want to talk about that a bit. And I want to talk about where I have been right now. As I do my makeup and get ready, we might keep this video short because I am getting ready to go out to the mall, to Sephora, because I want to get me some moisturizer. All right, first things first, I am going to be going in with some lip balm. It is a peptide lip treatment by Ola Hendrix. It is the vanilla scent and is my favorite scent. Vanilla is my favorite scent. All right. Man, I need more to come out. Okay, so let me give you a backstory before I get to the part as to why God told me to quit my job. So in 2019, I left college because I was not feeling too well, doing too well. My grades were up there. I had a 4.3, I believe, GPA. I was doing extremely well that I was able to earn a scholarship of 90% covering my tuition. I don't know if it covered dorms, but I believe it did a portion, but not the full portion. So I had a 90% scholarship that I earned going into my second semester. And it was just a rough time there. I was struggling physically because I had hormonal imbalances that doctors were trying to give me medication for. I was on the medication and it was not helping. It was causing a lot of other symptoms and it was extremely frustrating. So this is kind of hard for me to multitask, so bear with me, guys. It was hard on me physically because I was a full-time student. My first year I was a part-time student, but my second year I was a full-time student. I had more classes. I was living on the dorm, but I was also working part-time. And physically, it just was a lot and it took a toll on my body. You know, I had already been going through a lot of difficult and traumatic situations. I was homeless while I was at school. Like, yes, school was like my temporary home, but outside of school, when the semester ended, I had nowhere else to go. I had the opportunity to like stay with some family members, but that never ended well. It always ended up where I felt like I was a burden and they just like was always complaining, or it just wasn't great. I had to make a very hard decision through prayer. Like, first of all, rewind. When I first got there, my second year, when I got back for the first semester, I believe it was January 2019. When I first got back, I was physically overwhelmed that I would cry a lot and I would pray and just hope that I had somewhere to go back home to, that I can go back to New York. And I just really didn't see any other way. Like, I had stayed with my spiritual mom for the winter break, briefly. And that was because I left another family member's house. I thought about if I could stay with her permanently. I thought about it. I was just really suffering. And so I spent a lot of time in prayer. I obviously talked to her and I asked her, talked to her about me wanting to come back home. They had even given me keys to stay when I was coming, like on spring break or summer break or whatever the case is. But to actually like live and move in was a whole different story. So outside of that, like I said, I was homeless, did not have an apartment. My parents were living their own lives, doing what they were doing, not living well. And so there was just nothing left for me to go back to. And fast forward, with prayer, with talking to my spiritual mom, she also prayed. She also brought it before the Lord. And he ended up saying, to go and get me, and to bring me back home. Now, before she had told me that the Lord said to go and get me and bring me back home, back to her place, I had been already praying and I had went to therapy. I was in therapy since the beginning of college. And I I was talking to my therapist about it, and we basically went down a list of reasons why it would be better for me to go back home, go back to New York, than to stay on campus. I had difficult challenges with my roommates. Most of them were younger than me and just did not understand the culture that I came from, and they were trying to like force dynamics of friendships that I just was not ready for, that I felt like it takes time to build close friendships. And I think the culture there was just completely different. Completely different. And so with going into therapy, talking to my therapist, we wrote down a list of reasons why I should stay and reasons why I should go back home. And ultimately, the reasons why I should have gone back home outweighed why I should stay. And they came and got me. They picked me up. Her and her ex-husband picked me up, brought me back to the apartment. And let me tell you, it took some adjusting to. It took some adjusting to because she was now also opening her space to me, and I was having to now share a space with somebody else, which I was already kind of like used to for the most part. Not kind of, extremely used to, because living in a shelter, you didn't have multiple rooms. There was like one room or no rooms at all, and you all shared a space. And so, but this was my pastor, someone that I knew at church, and we hung out a couple of times outside of church. But other than that, now living with them, seeing them every day, eating with them and doing certain things with them was completely different from just seeing them one day out of the week. And it took some adjusting for the both of us. Like I said, we had moments of like even arguing, going back and forth, because we are mother and daughter, and what mother and daughter don't argue? Praise the Lord. Years later, we will make 8 years living together in November or December. No, in January. In January, we will make 8 years living together. And the vast difference, the maturity, the fire that God has brought us through has refined us in. It amazes me. It amazes me. When I came back from school, I took some time. I don't know if it was like a year or two, but I took some time to just try to heal and recover. I went to a lot of doctors. I tried different medications. And at some point, I started being her mom's, which is my spiritual grandmother's, home health aide. And it was such an amazing job. It did get hard as time went on because she started dealing with signs of dementia. And so with that comes just a level of like, insecurity, that she may feel like she's losing her independence, she's losing her sense of like, I don't know, identity and security, which she's not losing it, but a person will tend to feel that way. And so it became challenging. We had at least 2 moments where we did not see eye to eye, and it was made into this bigger thing what it needed to be, and it was not that big. So though she was dealing with that, let me tell you, my spiritual grandmother is one of the best gifts that God has ever given me. Ever given me. I don't have a relationship with my blood grandmother from my mother's side. And my father's side, she passed away. She passed away before I was even born because of a drug addiction. And yeah, that has played a major toll on me. It's not as bad, like I really have wanted to be closer to my family. But I think sometimes it just doesn't work out that way, So we're not going to make it into a big thing because that's not what this video is about. I could talk about that in another video if you guys would want me to. I worked for her, my spiritual grandmother, for about 5 years, 4 years. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot about advocating for not only myself, because I was already learning how to do that through me seeing the doctors, but when I was with her, and because she had dementia and was struggling with comprehension due to also like her first language is Spanish, she came from Puerto Rico, and her mama and her moved to the States. So with English not being her first language, there were a lot of things that she may not have been able to fully comprehend. She still is very smart. I would like to say that. She was very smart. She still is. It's just to a different capacity. And it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. And so, and I hate that the timing of it all, of me leaving, was when her dementia was starting to get more challenging. And it wasn't me leaving because of that. It was because, again, the Lord told me to leave, to quit my job, because there was something else that he wanted to bring me into. And little did I know that it was going to be solitude. Prior to me leaving, I had left myself on my own timing. I thought that it was an opportunity from God, but it ended up being on my own time and something that I did out of impulse and wanting more money, because being a home health aide and working only 20 or 25 hours a week wasn't giving me a lot of money. It wasn't what I wanted. I wanted more money. Put it that way. Put it simple. And I took it upon myself. I prayed and I saw some red flags. The job was basically a health clinic, but they practiced and they did a lot of new age stuff. And so I looked at it as, I was walking into darkness, and I was going to like overcome darkness with light. Listen, certain environments, yes, God will call you into to be that light and to be that truth bearer, but sometimes you are not spiritually mature and prepared enough to go into certain environments. Sometimes certain environments can do more damage or like harm. I mean, yes, you will learn from it and you will grow from it. I learned not to take matters into my own hands, not to jump into things because I have a certain desire for more. Like, you have to be careful and seriously pray. Like, don't ignore the red flags. Don't ignore them. I was at that job for 2 months. And then I was like, I'm out of there because the Lord told me, I never told you to be here. It's time for you to go. So when I went back to working as a home health aide, I was like, Lord, I surrender. I surrender to you, and I'm going to submit to serving and blessing Mama to the best of my ability. I'm going to put in the work. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to ask you, when, God? When will you remove me? When are you going to bless me with more? I'm not going to ask you any of that, Father. I'm just going to accept that this is where you want me, where you have me, for whatever time period. Whatever it is that you're trying to teach me, I'm going to trust that I am there for a reason and I'm going to learn it. But ultimately, I'm submitting to a greater level of servanthood. Keeping in mind, this point, I had brain surgery. And I got 6 weeks off, but had to go back to work. After that, I was also dealing with fibromyalgia, not knowing it was fibromyalgia till later, like right before I left. And so physically, always going through something. So at some point, I felt like the Lord was prompting me to leave. I was like, where is this desire coming from? It felt like things were drawing to an end. And so I began seeking him and I began asking him, Lord, what is your will for me? And the Lord immediately began to speak to me through the story of Job, and how Job was given an instruction by God to go and deliver a word. But Job was like, no, they're not like worth it, Lord. He had this judgment, this viewpoint of them. And the point of Job was really that Job decided to resist God and run from God. And the Lord was warning me that with him telling me to quit my job, I would be tempted to run. I would be tempted to avoid leaving. I would be tempted to kind of like stay where I'm at and not go do whatever he is telling me to do. Missing the fact that if I was to stay at the job, there was something that was going to be stagnated, that my decision would not only affect me, but it will affect my spiritual grandmother and my spiritual mom. Financially, it would affect our household, etc. I wrestled and I was like, Lord, why? Like, I sought him for confirmation after confirmation. He spoke to me and confirmed with me through the number 17. I asked him, Lord, what is the day that you want me to leave? And I felt like he was saying April 17th. And then I asked him, okay, if it's April 17th, continue to show me that number, Lord. Show me that number. He continued to show me that number. And then one time I went to church, and oh boy, I went to church and I asked them to pray for me, for the pastor to pray for me, that I was looking for confirmation, and everything that he had spoken was confirmation to what the Lord was speaking to me. Then I felt like the Lord was telling me to have my spiritual grandmother lay hands and pray for me. I'm not saying it's specifically for what, just I told her, Mom, the Lord wants you to pray for me. I took her hand and I put it, I believe it was on my head or on my stomach. And she prayed for me. The Lord began to speak. Then my mama, I said, the Lord wants you to pray for me. And it felt weird because I was like, I'm not trying to take everyone's attention. It just felt weird. I felt like even in that moment that I was asking for people to pray for me, that the Lord was beginning to prepare me in being willing to stand out, being willing to look whatever way man will look at me, if that meant I was still being obedient and following the will of the Lord. So my pastor prayed for me, my spiritual grandmother prayed for me, and then my spiritual mom prayed for me. I had already told her that the Lord was telling me to quit my job, and she wasn't on board right away, because financially, again, how would that affect us? This was just out of nowhere, and sometimes, that's how God works. So she prayed for me, and immediately God began to prophesy and speak and speak. So that was a confirmation that she ultimately needed, though she still took it before the Lord and was like, okay, you're telling her to quit her job. What does that mean for me, Lord? And the Lord was like, she's going into solitude, and you are going to be practicing a level of faithfulness, like giving and obtaining greater favor through your giving. So the Lord began to train us both. And when I quit my job, it was the most uncomfortable, kind of scariest thing in the beginning, because it required me to slow down. It required me to just be still and to sit with God so much more, because now I had all this time on my hand. Now I had no excuse. And let me just say, that's probably a whole nother video. I don't know. But the years of discovery, of learning and being strengthened in the relational battles, oh my God, the relational battles that I went through were crazy. Were crazy. Honestly crazy. And I'm just grateful that He has brought me through each and every one. I've been out of work for 3 years. 3 years. The Lord has not told me to go back. He has told me, feed my sheep. Feed my sheep. He has told me, I have called you to be a fisher of men. And I knew that when the Lord first told me to quit my job, that He would be I felt like this insinuation of this impression or desire that He was going to now answer my prayer of that I would be able to make a living through just ministry and posting on YouTube and posting online. That was my greatest desire. I did not want to stay in a 9-to-5 job, but I had to learn how to submit to the Lord in that season, in that time, because the 9-to-5 taught me things. I didn't work 9-to-5 literally, but it taught me things. It taught me how to serve. It taught me how to give. It taught me how to endure the hardships, how to communicate, how to hold my tongue, and so much more. And listen, I have been up and down. I have been struggling to show up. I would say faithfully, because of fear, because of not knowing what to say or overthinking what to say. Literally today, I did not plan this video. I said, I'm going to film a video. I'm going to sit down, do my makeup, and I'm going to talk to them about God told me to quit my job and how my life has been since then. So for the last 3 years, I've been in a place of solitude. I've traveled a little bit to the state of Virginia, to upstate Schenectady to visit my dad. And it has been bittersweet. It has been good. It has been wholesome. It's been the best time. I can't even lie. It's just been the best time, because I feel like I've learned so much. And if I would have stayed at school, honestly, I would have learned things, but I just feel like college, we're taught, society teaches us that college is the only way, right, to be successful. And I was taking up the major social work, and I felt like I was learning a lot about human behavior and stuff and psychology a little bit, but I feel like I've learned so much more with following the way of the Lord for my life, and that everything that I could have learned at school, I'm learning now. I may not have the textbook knowledge, but I am learning according to the Holy Spirit. He is our creator. The creator knows us through and through. He knows us psychologically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, on every level. And He has been teaching me. And when I post things, when I talk about things, when I have conversations, people are like, wow, you sound so mature. Wow, you sound so smart. It is because of the glory of God. It is the goodness of God. It is God, Holy Spirit, who has revealed Himself to me and continues and has like giving me words to speak life and to encourage others. And one of the things that I would say that I struggle with as far as not being employed is having to rely on someone else. And I think that's the least of my concerns. Like, even though it's a struggle, it's the least of my concerns, because my spiritual mom has been beyond helpful and giving. She bought me this Canon R50V camera. She has blessed me. She has just really covered us, and we're in a new transition that hopefully one day I'll be able to speak about. But I would say that I don't regret obeying the Lord. I don't regret quitting my job. I've learned a lot, and there's so much more for me to learn. I would say that I struggle with being still sometimes. Still, like, it's not as it used to be, obviously. I've learned to embrace that because my nervous system truly needs it with dealing with a dysregulated nervous system. Seeing the Lord regulate my nervous system and teaching me emotional regulation, I've learned that the Lord is faithful and He will always provide our needs. He will always provide what is necessary. And sometimes we think we need certain things or we want certain things, and it's not what's needed, what's necessary. And so I would say I've learned to be content, and I'm still learning to be content in where I'm at. There are moments where I feel discontentment, and there's moments where I'm like just completely content and practicing so much gratitude. 3 years in, and I'm unemployed. My mama even lost her job, got fired from her job because she had an accident, and they fired her. And so, yeah, things are changing. Things are changing, and God is teaching us to rely on Him as our ultimate source, on so many levels, not just on a spiritual level, but financially, that He is the provision and the provider, and He will continue to sustain us. Okay? So, yeah, that is somewhat of my experience, my journey of before working, when I was working, and when I quit my job. If you have any questions and you want to know more about my experience, comment them down below. I will freely respond and share with you guys. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I should share. Thank you, Father. If there's anything else that I would share with you guys, it would be what may seem unusual, wrong, irresponsible to the eyes of man. Let it be that to the eyes of man. Because if God has called you into a season of quitting your job, into a season of solitude, or whatever it is, follow the voice of the Lord. He knows what is right. He places us on a path that is narrow and that is right, that leads us into victory. People will always have their opinions. A lot of people looked at me funny and thought that I should be doing certain things and working and etc. And they're always asking, when are you gonna go back to work? When are you gonna get a job? My mother thought that I just didn't want to work. People are gonna think whatever they're gonna think. And I say this to say, please let us stop caring about what other people think, because they're not paying your bills. They're not paying your rent. They're not putting food on your table. God is. God is. And whoever is the shepherd, the leader of your household. And this household is the mama, but we also co-lead together. And so I share this, and I hope and pray that if God is calling you to quit your job, that you would obey, that you would listen, that you would trust Him to provide all of your resources. And if you have the opportunity for someone to support you and take care of you, someone that is trustworthy and is not going to throw it back in your face, then I would say, go for it. Go for it. Sometimes we have to have the rug pulled from out beneath us. Sometimes we got to be willing to take a risk and get uncomfortable and do the thing that is extremely scary, because on the other side, we get to discover the fullness of God. In my time of solitude, I have learned God on such a grand scale. I have grown in confidence in my identity and being outspoken on certain things, especially like confronting the lies, the false doctrines, and the things that are not of God, period. And trust me, I did it shaking and trembling, but I did it. But I did it. And everything has a purpose and a season. Let God bring you into the season that He's called you for, because there are treasures on the other side. And so, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope and pray that it encourages you, that you have taken something away from it. And again, if you have any questions, comment them down below. Make sure you give this video a like and make sure you subscribe. Join the family. Join the family. Peace.